Hi Stampers, it's Linda Schmitt with Stampin' with the Hounds. I have a fun fold and a background technique to show you today, and I'm going to be featuring some of the gilded leafing, which is something, it's an accessory that a lot of people, I think we just forget we have it. So I was bringing it out, especially now with the holidays. It's a great way to make your own background paper. You can die cut with it. It's really fun, and it is a little messy, but I love it. So anything that glimmers is good for me. So this is the one that I'm going to be featuring today. We are using a stencil, and I'm going to show you how to use the gilded leafing with your stencils. And then of course it's got the blended background. So on this one I did cherry cobbler and sweet sorbet for my blended background, and then I did use some of the distressed gold specialty paper. I had just a few pieces left to make that up, because you get 2 sheets of 12 by 12 of that, so it kind of looks like that gilded leafing, which is kind of fun. And then we're going to do what's called the offset gatefold. Super easy, fun fold. It's just a little bit, different fold, just to kind of jazz up your holiday cards this season. So that's one of them, and then I did some other ones, of course, just to show you some different color ideas. This one, my ink blending colors were Ezera Afternoon, Blueberry Bushel, and Night and Navy. And then my card base is Night and Navy. And on this one I did use, it's not from Stampin' Up, but I had gilded leaf. I got silver and I have copper, so I did the silver against the blue background, which I thought was kind of fun. And then this what is this saying? Sorry, it is, it's in the mini catalog. No, I can't. I thought I had it out. It's a holiday greeting. Sorry, I thought I had, it's around my desk somewhere. Oh, here it is. Throughout the year. So this is a great one. It's got all your different holidays. So it's got a few Christmas and New Year's that I've been using quite a bit. So we got that one. That's what I did on here. And then I did that deckled circle, which is carrying over. So you'll be able to still get that online. And then did some of that holographic paper for the snowflakes. And then again, did a little bit Ezera Afternoon on the inside. So that's the blue. The green, I did Parakeet Party and Shaded Spruce for my inks. And then this one I did do that gilded gold leafing. And then I did the distressed gold for cutting out my snowflakes. So again, there's that one, kind of fun with that colors. And then this was my very first one that I did. I dreamt of these colors. So this one is Fresh Freesia, Berry Burst, and Orchid Oasis for that one. So that one I think turned out really, really pretty. And then of course with the gold for that in there. And then I did that Fresh Freesia on the inside. So really pretty. And then getting away from the snowflakes, I was trying another one with just some colors. And then this is the 4 squared stencil that is in the annual catalog. And this is using Boho Blue, Midnight Madness, Moody Mauve, and Blackberry Bliss for my ink blending. So I did 4 colors this time. And again, so it's kind of a little bit different, a little geometric. So I thought that was kind of fun. I've got quite a few December birthdays. So this is one of my cards I'm mailing out to my colleagues at work. And then here, getting away, this isn't a blended background, but it's that Magical Snowflake designer series paper. So pretty, but I just had some scraps left over on that one. And then I did that snow crystal stamp on the inside. So lots of possibilities. You don't have to do the blended background. You can just do designer series paper for this offset gatefold. So easy, easy, easy. All right, we're going to get started, and we're going to do a version of this one today. So the supplies that you are going to need: include your card base, which is just going to be 5.5 by 8.5. You're going to score at 1.5 and 5 3/4 to make that offset gatefold. So there's that, and that's cherry cobbler. Then I did my inside for my card is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. Now I already, just because I was kind of playing around, I took my tear and tape and made a border going around this, and then I did my gilded leafing. So just to kind of show you you can do that too. So this is what it's going to be on the inside of my cards. I've already kind of got it ready, and we'll just stamp a greeting on there. So 4 by 5 1/4. Your piece that you are going to be stenciling, you can either, I've done it both ways. You can just do like a bigger sheet of paper and then do your stenciling and then cut it down. But for this one, I've got it cut, or it's sized, so that all I have to do is just cut off 1 inch off the side, so that I'm getting this 2 1/4 by 5 and then the 1 by 5 for my stencil once I get everything done. But the original size of this is 3 1/4 by 5. And like I said, we're going to cut our panels. So we have one that's 2 1/4 by 5 and then one that's 1 by 5. So that's the stencil part. And then I always like to layer. So this is that distressed gold specialty paper. So it kind of looks like that gilded leafing already. So this is my layering one. So it's going to be a little bit larger. So it's 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. And that's for the left panel, or the right panel, sorry. And then this one is the left panel, which is going to be the 2 1/2 by 5 1/4 for layering. So that's going to go right here. And then we'll layer our stencil thing on top of it. All right, so those are the pieces. And then again, I've already die cut whatever you want for your focal. I just did the deckled circle. I've already die cut it. And then I've die cut some of my snowflakes already. And these are already distressed, or they have the gilded leafing in the background that I die cut on these. So these are just some little snowflakes from the Textured Chic die set. So we'll do those over here so I don't lose them. And then we'll start with our folding just to get that out of the way. So again, super easy fold. We are just going to take on the long side, we are going to score at 1 1/2. You've got that. So we're scoring at 1 1/2. And then we're going to score at 5 3/4. And that's it for the scoring. All right, so again, I like to have my shorter panel on the right side, but you can totally change it. You can have it vice versa. It doesn't matter. This is just my preference. So I'm going to go ahead and just fold this now. So we're just going to fold that in. And this one gets folded in as well. So now you've got that offset gatefold, and I just like to give it one nice crease just to make sure everything is lined up. So then it opens like that. And since I already have this decorated, I just want to put this in here now. So this was at 4 by 5 1/4. And like I said, I added that tear and tape, and then I put my gilded leafing on the edges just to pretty up my inside of my card. Totally optional. Okay. And then since we have these pieces, I'm just going to put these on right now. So this is my left panel, which was the 2 1/2 by 5 1/4. I'm just going to put this on. And then we'll get to the stenciling, the fun part, and the blended background. All right, and then the right panel, this one is the 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. All right, so then that's ready to go. Ooh, so fun. Okay, we are going to do our ink blending. So again, this was my vanilla piece of cardstock. I have it cut for 3 1/4 by 5. Once we do the blended background and the stenciling and the gilded leafing, we'll then cut it so that I've got one piece that's 2 1/4 by 5, and then the second piece is 1 by 5. So the first thing first you want to do is the blended background. Now I have I picked this up. It's like a big photopolymer sticky mat, basically, and it holds your stencil, which works really slick, but it does stain, obviously, because look at the red. So I do have my silicone mat underneath it, just so you guys can kind of see a little bit better. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place my paper on here. So this is where, if you don't have something like this that is sticky, have your cardstock that you're stenciling be bigger. So then that way you can tape it down, and then you can stencil, and then you can just cut it down afterwards. So we are going to do the ink blending, and I'm looking for, just to make sure, I had all my pieces, but now I'm like, where's my stencil? Oh, it's around here somewhere. Okay. So let's do the ink blending. Okay, and like I said, we are going to be doing cherry cobbler and sweet sorbet. Oh, here's my stencil. Okay, there we go. And I like to use, I've got these little brush stand holders to keep my blending brushes, just so that they don't fall over and stuff. But before I do that, I do want to use my glass mat, just because it makes my station a little bit easier. So I'm really excited. So Stampin' Up! Is coming, well, they came out with, and it'll be available if you sign up as a demonstrator during Celebration, which is in January and February of 2024. You can get one of your free items is, if you sign up as a demonstrator, is a glass mat, and then it has these really cool like a ink pad holder. You know, you can use it as a mixed media thing, but having a glass mat, oh, I'm so excited that they're finally coming out with one, and it's a lot larger than this little one that I have. So I'm like, oh, it's on my wish list, definitely. So, and what I like about the glass mats is because it's raised, you can kind of see here, I then rest my ink pads so that they're butt up against here, so that my ink pads aren't sliding around. And then in that, here, I can actually show you. Well, I don't know if I can legally yet, but, well, I can't. Maybe we'll see it. I don't want to get in trouble. But it's pretty cool. So I'm kind of excited for that. All right. So I got my glass mat, and I just have my silicone mat here just to use as a gripper. So we're going to start with the lighter color, which is the Sweet Sorbet. And I'm just using my blending brushes. And I'm just going to add little bits of color. I'm going to leave some white space. Okay. Now, you can, if you don't have enough brushes, wipe this off on a microfiber towel, and then move on to your darker color. But since I have multiple brushes, I'm going to use another brush for my cherry cobbler. So then I'm going to go in with cherry cobbler, which is darker, and I'm going to fill in. And then I like to just go around the edges with the darker. Hence, this is why my little gripper mat is stained red. Red ink does a number on photopolymer. Still works good. It just always looks pink when you're done. Okay. And then I like to go back and just kind of soften up. This is with the Sweet Sorbet. Just kind of blending. Okay, that looks good. then what I want to do is I like to, of course, this looks like a hot mess down here, but it looks so white on the thing, but really this is not white. It is like blended. It's so funny how the camera picks that up or does stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spritz this with water, and that's how I kind of get the little blobs here. Because when you spritz it, it like kind of it whitens out the cardstock a little bit. So I'm just going to take a water bottle and I'm just going to give it a spritz. And as I'm doing it, I'm like kind of running my hand across the cardstock. And I kind of want to get some of those bigger splatters. Then what I like to do is take another, like a microfiber towel, and I'm just going to press this over it just to soak up some of that water. And then I'm going to give it a quick shot because it's a little wet, so I'm going to dry it really quick. All right, and then I do want to clean my little gripper mat here. So I'm just wiping off with a baby wipe just to get some of this excess red so that I don't stick my fingers in it. So I'm just wiping these off here just with a baby wipe. Okay. All right, so now we're going to stencil. So this is where, now this was from the Abundant Beauty mask set. It had the sunflowers, there was like a leaf, there was kind of a houndstooth, and then these snowflakes. Unfortunately, they did sell out, so they're not available, but I still had some. But you can use whatever stencil you want for this technique. So what I like, again, about this gripper mat is it's going to grip I'm going to flip this over here, stencil, so I don't have to use tape. But if you don't have something like this, you can certainly just use tape, like a low-tack tape, to hold this down. All right, so now we're going to stencil again with that cherry cobbler. And on these, when you have some of these really intricate stencils, you want to be careful that you're not, pushing it up and bending it. So just be really aware of, like, when you're stenciling, kind of don't put so much pressure, is what I'm trying to say, because you can kind of catch it and then you can break the stencil. I know, because I have done that before on one of it was a really intricate stencil, and I snapped it. I was like, did that myself. Can't believe that was my own doing. But so just kind of be aware of when you're stenciling or brushing these. So this is just going back over with a cherry cobbler, and I'm going back over several times because I want this to be really, really dark. And that's where I'm getting in this background. This is the shaded ones. Is all that cherry cobbler that has been stenciled. And then we're going to clean the mask really quick. And I always have a tub of, like a Gladware container of water at my desk. And I'll just dump the stencil in there and then dry it off. And then we'll do the gilded leafing with the stencil. So on this one, see how this one's kind of bent up a little bit? I'm just going this way so that I'm not pushing it back and lifting it up more. And just water cleans this stencil up really easily. So like I said, I've got that little Gladware container of water. Okay, and then I just need to make sure with my lighting, I missed a few here. Let me go one more. Okay, I got all the pieces. All right. So close that up. And then very carefully lift this up. Now this, I'm just going to place in a, like I said, I've got my little Gladware container of water. We'll just plop that in there. See? Super easy. And then we'll just wipe off some of the excess. I'm going to keep this because the next step we're going to do is the gilded leafing. And for gilded leafing, you do need a type of adhesive for the gilded leafing to stick to. So you can use your Tombow glue, the liquid glue. You can do Versamark with heat and stick powder, but I always struggle with that one because you have to be quick. And when you're stenciling, that really doesn't work as well. So I'm actually using a glue ink pad that I picked up at my local craft store. Or I don't even know where I got it. I've had it for a while, but it's been working really slick for this technique. But like I said, you can also do the Tombow, the mono liquid glue, and just put this on your silicone mat and then use like a sponge to dab it, or your sponge dauber to dab it onto the stencil for the gilded leafing to stick to. Okay, so now this looks like it's all dry. Clean this off really quick. Okay. So then your next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring this back. Okay, so I had done my stencil originally this way. I'm now going to flip it over and I'm going to turn it around because now I want my snowflakes to be in different spots is basically what I'm doing. So on here, I'm going to show you the other way of doing your stencil. So just take some washi tape or some low tack tape and use that to hold your stencil down. Showing you multiple ways on how to do this. Okay, so like I said, you can take and put some of this glue or any liquid glue. Ooh, this is getting, I might not have enough in here. I think that one might be out. Hold on. There we go. There's some. So you can do it, put some glue here. Then either take a sponge or I'm just using a sponge dauber and I just put a little washi tape on here so I know that this is my glue one. And then you just dab this glue on there. But I also found this glue pad, and this one, it comes with a re-inker, or like a liquid glue re-inker. And I've been doing this too. So this has already got glue on this pad, and I'm still using my dauber, and I'm just really pressing hard because you want to make sure you're getting into these little crevices of the stencil. Just making sure it's all in there. Now, because this is glue, whoops, you want to make sure that you clean the stencil right away afterwards, because otherwise you'll ruin your stencil. So again, I just have, I'll just use that water, and I put a little bit of soap in there, and I just let it sit for a few minutes, and then I just wipe dry it off when it's done. Just kind of make sure you've got all the stencils images glued up. I think I got everything. I know these little tiny holes are a little harder to get the sponge dauber in there, but as long as you got the snowflakes, that's the main thing. Sure this one's really detailed. I just want to make sure I've got it, get in there. Okay, same thing with the dauber. I am going to put this also in the water so that it gets cleaned up, and then same thing with your silicone mat. Just clean off that glue when you're done. All right, so we'll very carefully peel this off. And then we will throw this back into the water as well as my dauber. So I just kind of quick dabbed it. Now it's all no longer sticky. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do that gilded leafing. And this, what I had on the back of this, it's like my little sticky mat. It's like a double-sided grid sheet, and it's just like a Post-it note, basically. But I was using that to kind of keep my paper not from shifting around. All right, so what I use for the gilded leafing is a tray. You can also use like some wax paper too. The glass mat is also good to use, but I have this old tray that Stampin' Up used to carry. You will need like a sponge or like a stiffle brush to help get this off. So if you look here, you can kind of see there's all the glue, and I kind of wait for it to get a little tacky. Now my gilded leafing, I've been using it a lot, so my new jar comes next week. So when you first get it, the sheets, it's super thin, but the foil, it's like in bigger pieces, but this has been used a lot, and so I don't have much left. So mine kind of looks like crumbs, but it's very light and airy. And with the gilded leafing, do not have a fan on. Don't sneeze into it. It goes everywhere. So I am just going to kind of keep this. I have my tray. So it comes in a jar, and I just put it in a Gladware container because I just find it a little bit easier to work with. I'm going to directly press this into my container, and I'm just kind of pressing the paper so that all of those gilding are sticking to my glue. Like I said, it's very light and kind of goes everywhere. And then what I do is I initially start off with just burnishing it with my fingers. You can also take some of the gilded leafing and use that to help burnish And then once we get the big chunks off, we'll then fine tune it by using that stipple brush, or you can use, so there I kind of missed a piece, so we'll cover that up with some bling. Some of these big pieces off. So this is where it gets down to the fine pieces, because you're constantly burnishing this and putting the smaller pieces back in your container. But yeah, when you first get it, I mean, there's like big, you know, kind of chunks of the gilded leafing that you'll use. Okay. So now most of that is off of there. And I just have a damp cloth just to wipe my hands off with. You can wear gloves too if you want to. And then we'll cover this up so that I don't have this stuff going everywhere. Okay, so this is where, like I said, you can either take a quarter of a sponge and then just in a circular motion, just burnish and getting some of that excess off. Or I like to use a stipple brush. And then I just take you can take like a makeup brush, kind of like just a real soft brush, and this is just getting off some of the fine pieces. Isn't that pretty? Love it. Love the gilded leafing. Okay, and then very carefully, this is where Jeff comes down. He's like, what is with all the gold? Because like my garbage can is very sparkly. And then you can take like a Swiffer sheet or like another microfiber, and that's what I use just to kind of clean off my tray. All right, so that's the gilded leafing. And I didn't make too bad of a mess. Okay. All right, so we'll get this out of the way. All right, now we want to cut this piece down because we need it for our panel. So the left side needs to be 2 1/4, and then the right side is 1 by 5. And when I look at this, I decide, well, what one's my better side? So this one looks really good. So I'm going to cut my 2 1/4 first. And this is already, I believe this is already at 5. Yeah, this is already at 5. So I'm just going to go, oh, I just want to make sure I'm cutting that correctly. Let me make sure. So this was 2 1/2, yeah, so it is going to be 2 1/4 by 5. I'm just second guessing myself. Okay, so 2 1/4. So there's my left side, and then this was already 1 inch, so we don't have to cut that. So that's good to go. And then when you go to assemble this, you want to keep in mind, you know, you want these pieces to line up. So we're going to now take this piece and glue it to our left panel. And then this one is going to go on the right. my snowflakes were lined up. Just press that down. Oh, isn't that pretty? I love it. So pretty. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Okay, now we're going to decorate. And I like to do a die that is glued partially on, because I'm not a big fan of belly bands. I mean, if you can do a belly band if you always want it to be closed, like when you give it to somebody, but I'm always, you know, fine, like it can stand and be open with that. So I don't really care. But I kind of having that offset. So I'm just going to make sure my creases are good. And then I've already die cut. This is, what size did I do? About 2.5, little bigger than 2.5. This is that decal circle, and then I die cut it 3 times and glued them all together because I want a little bit of weight for this opening, so it's not flimsy. And I'm going to use a saying. It's actually retired for my outside. It was from a few years ago, but I didn't really buy, besides my owls, I didn't really buy any Christmas sets because I have so many Christmas cards or stamps. And last year I made so many Christmas cards, like I really didn't need to make very many this year. So I was like, why? I don't really need to buy a bunch. And I'm going to position this just a tad lower because I want to leave room for my snowflake that I'm going to add to this circle. So I'm just going to go down just a titch so it's not quite in the center of the circle. And then my inside is from, this is from the main catalog. This is Very Best Occasions, and I'm using the saying here. And that's going to be in Cherry Cobbler as well, and is what I'm going to use on my inside of my card. Okay. Just add, I've got one of these little snowflakes from the Texture Chic die that I was going to put here on the inside just to kind of carry through my snowflake theme. All right, so there's the inside. The outside, so we're only going to put adhesive on half of the circle, and I like to have it be, we'll do about 3/4 of the way. So there, I'm covering up my boo-boo one. It worked out fine. And then that way you don't see any of the glue. Let's make sure that's on there. And then we'll take our Texture Chic snowflake. So again, I did that gilded leafing. So I had a piece of cardstock, and then I did a sticker sheet, and then I peeled off the sticker and pressed it into the gilded leafing. And then after I smoothed it all out, I die cut the gold. So that's how you can do that. So these I'm just going to use a dimensional. And we'll probably just put a few on here. I think I might need 3 just for support. Kind of have that going a little bit at an angle. And then these I'm going to use, because they're tinier, I'm going to use the mini dimensionals And then I'll put these on. I want to put that. I'll put this one up here because this one's a little, I don't know, I think I do like it down here. And then just to complete the gold, I'm just taking a gold gel pen. And I'm just adding a little bit on these snowflakes just to tie in that gold throughout the card. There we go. Super fun. And once you get going, like I would just do all the backgrounds first, and then you can do like an assembly line. So just kind of doing all the blended, because really it doesn't take that long. And each time you do it, it's a little bit different depending on how, you know, your colors and stuff that you're choosing. So thank you again for watching. I have another tutorial that I'm working on. It's going to be featuring this kind of fun accordion fold that's on the inside of your folders. So stay tuned for this one. That'll be up next. I'm going to record it tomorrow. And as always, I appreciate you for stopping by. Thank you so much and happy holidays from Linda and Ezra from Stampin' with the Houndz. Have a good day.